Welcome to this week's episode of Courageous Leaders Changing the World. We're really excited for this week's guest, Meghan Jarvis. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. And thanks for using my nickname. Feeling just at home now. Here we go.
Just open right up.
Absolutely. I know that's going to happen. So let's do it. I'm excited for it.
So the name of the podcast is Courageous Leaders Changing the World. So what's the time in your life you've had to summon more courage than any other time?
Right from the get-go. It started when I was 13. I was in the World Championship race over in England, representing Canada. There were only two of us that made it. One was a 22-year-old gentleman, still friends with him. I was 13, so just putting it into perspective, we shared a very close relationship. I'm at the starting gate, and now everyone's seen BMX, but before it was on the Olympics, it was getting a lot of traction, but imagine there's a light that goes da-da-da-da. I can't get it out of my head. It's painted after 15 years of being a pro BMXer. And I felt, an extreme rush and this amazing dopamine, cortisol, courage, focus of I'm here, I'm representing my country, and I'm not going to get elbowed off the first jump. That's all that was going through my head. Do not let this chick beside you elbow you out. And I didn't let her on the first jump, but I did get shoved off the track on about the fifth jump. Regardless of the outcome, I remember getting back up, which, failing forward is one of the biggest things for me. I'm always preaching, it doesn't matter how many times you fall, it's how quickly you get back up. And continued to pass two girls and finished sixth for our country. And since then, never looked back. I get that same rush now, not just in sport, but in business, on this podcast right now, just giving it your all when you're in the moment and really focusing and showing as much courage as you can.
What do you say to someone who needs to be able to step into courage on an even deeper level, but they're not, they don't learn as well through pain?
Ooh, I love that. My first thing with courage is do it now. So I've got those three words printed in front of my computer desk. Napoleon Hill's best friend, who is actually the billionaire that backed Napoleon Hill, which nobody really reads about, had that all over his office, and his ode to his success is those three words, do it now, do it now. So for somebody that isn't really ready to embrace the pain of falling off the BMX track and the grit that could summon within you, it's taking that first leap. Do it now. Don't look back. Don't think too much, because your brain is a beautiful thing, but it's going to step in. It's going to collapse time and make sure that you don't actually do it, because there's going to be fear of failure, fear of what other people think, you name it, the list goes on. And I know you get into that on this podcast. So it's like, how do we break that fear? How do we step and just take that courage? There's a lot of different tricks, but just do it now would be my first three words to that person.
I love that. What's been something that you've recognized you've been procrastinating on recently then?
Well, we're organizing a 300-person women event and launched it 4 weeks out. So we procrastinated on it for about 6 months, and now are just in the hustle mode of doing it now, creating magic. And again, I just feel like it's never too late to put the pieces together. And a lot of people would have said, that's crazy. What are you thinking? Why are you trying to make an event so quickly? And my partner who you just had on earlier, Julie Thompson, and myself would say, because we can, because we're confident that we're going to be able to make it work. Did we procrastinate on it? Absolutely. One of our other business partners was having a baby. So, as females, there's little things that can create procrastination in beautiful ways with families, as you know. But never be afraid, even if you procrastinate, to start it. Just start at any point, any level, any timing, because you won't regret it.
How do you balance that grace of being in procrastination with the just do it mentality?
Ooh, I would say that you need to be gentle on yourself. That's the first thing. We put so much pressure on ourselves to create the magic that if we are more gentle and kind to ourselves, the whole I am statements when you wake up in the morning, and then having a beautiful partner or environment around you. I know this is something that your community does really well. And for myself, if we have a beautiful, I always say just have 3 people that you can call and that you know, like, trust, that are not your Facebook friends. They're the ones that when you are feeling, like Simon Sinek says, really down in the dumps, and you need to have some grace for yourself because you've left it to the last moment and you procrastinated. Have those people that you call, have that best friend, have that beautiful partner, whatever that may be, and allow them to hold space, because the answer is already within you. And you know that you can give yourself that grace, but sometimes it takes having somebody in your life that you can they can hold some space for you and you can talk it out.
Yeah. I'm curious to know who those 3 people are for you.
Ooh, okay. Firstly, I just got back from Canada, and it sounds cliche, but my dad and my mom have been my key supporters throughout my entire life. Recently, ongoingly, I run 6 gyms across Australia and New Zealand, and I've been sued over a dozen times. Lawsuits and courage is now what I've stepped into as a businesswoman. So most recently was sued for $13,000, and we are now paying that. But they're the first people that I call and go, all right, this has happened. And they're like, good lesson learned, isn't it? And just having my parents in my corner going, you've learned the lesson, you're doing the work, it's only money, don't fret about it, you've been here before. And they just quickly lift me back up. They're the ones that show me that kind of love. And then I have a best friend named Nicole here, who we were born on the same day in the same hospital, which I've got the coordinates tattooed on my arm, which I got when I was going into Australian Ninja Warrior, because I'm the first Canadian to run Australian Ninja Warrior, and I thought it'd be cool. Sorry, I digress. But when I was going like this over the monkey bars to be able to see where I was from, and to remind me of her. So that's the hospital that both of us were born in, and she would be the other person that I would call, and I guess would give me shit about what have you done, and just call me out on my mess, and then also give me grace and support me through it. But I think it's important to have and I know that you mentioned this earlier, have people that, can see your blind spots, call you out on them. And, for people like ourselves, if we're leading a community, sometimes we can have a lot of people that just go, oh my God, you're amazing, keep going, It's really important to have that feedback right in front of your face going, as a mirror, this is where you could improve on, this is what you're not going to do again, and help you get back up through it. Thank you for asking.
What's some of the feedback that you've received recently that you're implementing then?
Most recently, not to procrastinate. Get your event out sooner. What are you doing? That could be, one of them. So we're just all giving ourselves grace as leaders in that event at the moment. I guess the other big one is to be really protective of, I work in the entertainment industry, and we sign a lot of NDAs and work with some of the most elite performers in the world while they're on tour, or elite athletes as well, is to keep everything within my team. So I've got a team of about 100 wellness professionals that I work with as subcontractors that I need to know, like, trust on such a deeper level. So you could imagine vetting them, making sure I'm mitigating the risk of what could be told about these people that they're working with. We all get excited when we work with celebrities. So really learning how to control and be a leader in the space of, I know you're excited, but this is something that you cannot publicize. You need to keep very top secret, and how to mitigate that risk moving forward as a leader has been a huge learning curve over the last few months.
What are 3 things that you'd recommend for people who are stepping into risk mitigation on an even deeper level? Because especially like entrepreneurs, we have that tendency just to want to be able to dive into everything all of the time.
Yes.
What are the 3 things that you would recommend for people to start to look at or do to be able to step into risk mitigation?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, the first thing is I've learned from my predecessors or amazing people I have in my life, like Espen Wold Jensen is one of them. He's got a large community and we've been best friends for years. But the first thing that you do is make sure everything's in writing and you've got an agreement in place with even your best friends in business. And it starts from the first conversation, not the 10th when you've already got some people lined up. So just being really clear on your boundaries and having an NDA right from the get-go is the first thing. And that's going to cover you so much as a leader moving forward. The second thing is to ensure that your team and everybody that you're communicating with is really clear with why, again, Simon Sinek, why you're doing what you're doing, and that they all feel really aligned with the purpose of what you're creating. Because if there's confusion in the wheelhouse of what you've brought together, and even if, I'm a big believer of treating the janitor like the queen. It doesn't matter which position you're in on our team. I want you to have the knowledge that I have as the CEO all the way through to literally the person that might be cleaning the podcast space. I want them to know what it's all about, because then they're going to be more passionate about making sure it looks great for the next guest, and they're offering them water like you guys did. So thank you. Like just all of the little things. Those 1%ers really add up. So make sure the team's on board and make sure that they know why you're doing it. And then the last one, from a leadership perspective, is once you've got the NDAs, you've got the team on board, is that you need to have like a very strategic approach to where the end line is. So you've got this amazing goal. Julie Thompson, who you had on earlier, is amazing at this. What are the next steps? Because we are both big thinkers for us to get to this goal. Because if you're not outlining, like Rome wasn't built in a day, we need to build things step by step, brick by brick. If we're not outlining what the next step is, you've lost somebody already. They need to be on the journey with you. So it's important for them to know the why, but they also need to know, how are we getting to this end line of inspiring 1 million women for the 2032 Olympics, for example, which is one of our goals. How many people do we need at this event? What is the next step after this? And have everybody on the journey with you. Those would be my top 3. Sorry, it was a long one, but boom, 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 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. What can you elaborate more on what the vision is around that then with the Olympics?
Yeah, thank you. Thought you'd never ask. Super excited to, have you on board as one of our VIP guests if you're free. I know it's last minute. But we'll give you
last minute for everyone apparently, so it's perfect.
Exactly. Perfect time to invite you as a VIP guest. And the vision around this is that we get women in business, female athletes, everybody who is awake to what's happening in the Olympics to come together as a network that has never been done before. So one of the main feedback pieces that we've gotten, and I've worked with the Commonwealth Games, and I train Olympic athletes on things that have gone missing, like breath work is a new one for 400-meter sprinters. You would think that breath would be well implemented years ago, but it hadn't been. Training around a woman's cycle and perimenopause hadn't been implemented. So all of these like little things have been coming up for us. Like, why haven't we progressed the way that sports should have progressed? And why can't we help these women with the women in wellness that we know, collaborate and bring them together so that they can both help each other in business and in sport? So the main goal of the Million Women Movement is to elevate women in business, female athletes on a journey with the long-term goal of the 2032 Olympics and the global stage coming. Tenders are going now 7 years out. So it's to awaken them to that, and then how they could get those tenders. Even if they're a $10,000 business, they can piggyback off of $1 million business. So how to join those two. And then something that's really special to our hearts is promoting these women for the global stage. And letting them know that after the Sydney Olympics, real estate went up 60%. This is not just a one-time event. This is going to totally shift the economy. Do you have real estate investments? Are you looking at what's to come in the future? Maybe we should look at those now before they're out of your reach. So it's for men and women. That's hence why we'd love for you to be a VIP guest as well. And of course, Jackie, your partner. But we would love to elevate men are behind it, women on a global stage, get them presenting more, speaking more. A lot of the events I go to, I'm the only female speaker. So we really wanted to create a space where females took the lead and had a full stage of women speaking throughout the day to empower them as well. So a few different elements involved, but that's the overall goal, is to really empower women in sport and business.
What do you think is needed to be able to get more women speakers out there?
I think courage. So, I mean, we've had some really big things that have been happening over in the US at the moment. And what the constant message that's been coming out is that we need more people to be able to speak their own truth and show more courage around what they believe in, and, you know, not deny somebody of their own opinion. So I think one thing that's really missing is inspiring women to have more courage. This year we're having up-and-coming speakers that are running beautiful movements, but maybe haven't quite hit the global stage, as well as women that have hit the global stage and are already on their way and are multimillionaires. So we want to inspire more women to have courage to take the stage. I mean, of course, with courage comes practice, comes training, and all of the elements that it takes to be a great speaker. But if they just take the courage to start, we know, do it now, coming back to that, we know that we're going to see more women step up on stages.
What do you find is the biggest gap with that then, of women stepping into courage more than?
It's so interesting because with men and women, it's such a different sphere, I'm going to call it. For women, I do feel like that fear of what other people think is still what I'm encountering with my coaching clients. There's still fear of failure, of course, like as we dig deeper that you do on this podcast, which is what I love. How do we overcome fear of failure? How do we overcome fear of what other people think? And it really comes down to making that tough phone call and going, Mom or Nicole, I'm going to step in to do the thing that I've always been dreaming about doing. And I hope that you support me. But if you don't, I'm going to do it anyways. So the fear of what other people think, and usually it is family members, those ones that are closest to us. Mel Robbins it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, switch your brain off and take action is so, so important. Like the 5-second rule, there's so many tricks or biohacks that we can take courage. I think that women need to let that go, and they need to step into what they truly desire and what they really want. And if they do that, it's going to have a ripple effect of having more female speakers, more women stepping up. And that's really what we want to create with Million Women Movement, is a container that allows them to do that no matter which area of business that they're in right now. Great question.
How do you see AI impacting the vision that you have?
I heard you discussing Elon Musk earlier, and I mean, AI is such a critical piece, and it's something that all women need to be playing in business. So it's one of our pillars that we will be speaking at the Million Women Movement. How do you implement AI into your business? How do you ensure that you're staying ahead of the game, or at least keeping up with your competitor? Because at this point, even right now, if you haven't been using AI, you've already fallen behind. It's taken over probably a dozen of more of my close circle of my team. And I'm in the wellness sector with gyms, where we're still doing hands-on appointments as physios, chiros, et cetera. So there's elements of AI that they just can't do, which is great for us in the wellness industry. But booking appointments, calendar settings, emails, my AI now gets back to my emails before I open them. And it's like, this is what I think Meghan would say. And I'm like, well, this is close. I would add a little bit more positivity on that and a few more XOs, but good job, AI. So you need to be using it. It's going to be so important for you to take this on, and now's the time.
What do you notice with people, going all the way to the other end of the like spectrum of that, of just like outsourcing everything to AI?
I think that they're missing a critical point of human connection. I think that eventually they will start losing their audience because we are heading into an arena where if you are not your personal brand, I'm Canadian, so I'm going to say like the Walmarts or the Costco's and these bigger brands, people are not going to be looking at those. They're going to be looking at what Cody's wearing, and that's cool because I like his hat, and we all do, by the way. It's sick. It's great.
Not everyone on Facebook ads, but that's okay.
Haters will hate, and good publicity is the more that you get of those, the bigger you made it. Trolls are fantastic. Let them. And that's another thing to say to yourself, let them theory, and then let you wear your hat because it's awesome. So you are going to be your brand. Your personality and your authenticity is not going to be able to shine as an AI generated. It's still going to need to be you, and the more peccadillos that you have, as they say. So that is, and I think it's good. It's Good Will Hunting, the movie that they use this. A peccadillo is when you, fart in your bed at night and you wake your partner up. That's a peccadillo. It's those little things that no one else really knows about you. That's going to sell your brand. AI cannot do that. So I think it's going to be the game changer. You can use AI up to a certain point, but you need to be you. And Brené Brown is, the queen of authenticity for a reason, because she knows that this is going to be an important factor.
How do we create those shifts within ourselves to be able to bring more of us forth? Because, often we, so many of us live, other people's lives. We live, what we perceive that we want our followers to hear from us rather than what is actually alive for us. How do we actually start to create a deeper sense of that level of authenticity so that we can actually bring forth what is true for us rather than what we perceive other people want for us?
Oof, I love this question. Work with Cody is the first answer. But, I'm being completely sincere here, working with somebody who's a great coach like yourself that's going to really look at the depths that in the layers that are inside you. There are amazing, this goes way back to our initial, it's not just like the Joe Dispensas, it's the Brian Tracy's of the world in the early 70s and 80s. Go and sit with yourself for 60 minutes, meditate, let the noise turn off in the first 30, and then watch the solutions and the things that come through that are true for you in that last 30 minutes. A lot of people that are watching probably love meditating because it's your podcast. So they'll get that point, and they'll get that goes deeper and really finds their why and what they're doing and their authenticity. If you're an activator like me and are like, go, 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 I just go to the gym and then I'm going to find open every door. So Tom Bilyeu says it very well, that to find the true you, there's 1,000 doors in front of you. And you don't get it by sitting around and hoping and wishing. You get it by going through that door, seeing if it's a right fit, seeing if that's coming through for you. And then if it's not, taking a step back and then going through the next one. So it does come from taking action. It does come from seeing what you love and what you really enjoy. I told the story initially about how I love BMX and I love taking risks and I love adventure. So we can drop into our childhood and see what really excited us before social media and everything else took over our lives and we got infiltrated. But if that doesn't work, and if you're going, I don't know what I enjoyed as a child, I can't sit and meditate for 60 minutes. What is she talking about? Then you need to go out and try things. You need to go out and see what truly lights you up. And that's going to find the little leaflets, the little page notes in your diary of life that are really going to bring out the true authentic you.
What are some of the common themes that you've recognized for you that are, there's common threads throughout your life that have lit you up and light you up the most?
Oh, so many. I kind of just touched on a few, but definitely the extreme sport adventure side has always been there. I just got back from, and I just said they're very Canadian of me, just got back from my cottage, and the entire time at my cottage, I wakeboarded. My legs are still feeling it. I think like 3 or 4 times a day, and just being out on the water, just doing something that is so, where you have to be so present. So I don't know if you've ever wakeboarded before. No? Snowboarded? Skateboarded? Skied. Okay. Yeah. So skiing, you have to stay on an edge all the time. So you're always having to be on your game. The second that you go, this is fun, it's like you're falling down the hill. So something that makes me stay super present and super in the moment is what I absolutely live for. It's definitely part of my personality. I love speaking on stages or being here with you right now because I just get to go into this beautiful flow state of, this is who I truly am. I want it to shine and be here with you in this moment. It's what I live for. I love it.
Mm. How do we start to create more receptivity to feedback? You know, when we're talking about flow, one of the prerequisites of flow is feedback. It's like you need to be able to know, like when you're snowboarding, if you're going around the edge, you have automatic feedback to recognize if you're about to tip over or not. And it's that rebalancing.
Yes. Good example. Analogy.
How do we start to receive more feedback? Because often when we get it from people, there's some layer of like resistance or defensiveness. How do we open up to receiving more of that?
Yeah. I mean, so there's a few different ways to handle this question, and I love it. I mean, I'll drop into what you just said when it's feedback from others that are trying to get you back into flow state. I feel like the more feedback that we get, the more prepared we are for both positive and negative feedback. So as I was mentioning earlier, having a best friend that can give you that negative feedback that you can hear and then you don't get defensive right away is super important, because you know, like, trust that that person has the best in mind for you and they're not giving you feedback based on their own insecurities or self-doubt or that they're jealous of you, et cetera, et cetera. The list could go on. So we need to be very careful of feedback and who we're getting it from and how we take that on. I think that's probably one of the key principles that when you're a leader, be careful of what feedback you're taking in, because if you're constantly getting negative feedback, it might be throwing you on the other side of flow state where, in the U-shaped hypothesis of being right in that beautiful flow state of we've got cortisol and dopamine, but we haven't become too nervous that we've fallen off the edge. So it's going into that beautiful area of flow. So yes, accept feedback. Don't take on all of it, and be sure to be aware of who you're getting it from is just one element when you were mentioning the feedback at the end. How to make sure that you stay in flow in business and not just on a snowboard, because the snowboard's so much more easier to stay in flow state. With business, it is similar that we need to be on our game. We need to, one of the things that I look at is knowing the process all the way through from if it's a click funnel all the way through to the ads, knowing enough about what each area of the business is doing so that you can ensure that you're in flow the best possible way that you can be. The second that you drop the ball is the second that you'll find yourself getting out of flow state. And that usually comes back to you not knowing one of the steps in the process and then blaming others for them not, operating at that high level that you want them to operate at. But remember, as a leader, you need to know all of the steps and you need to ensure that that person has that feedback. They're continuing to lift themselves so that everything stays in flow as a business. So if you want to stay in flow, make sure where energy goes, energy flows. Make sure that you're watching the full chain, not just one element at the end. It's good to know, Stephen Covey, know the end in mind, but you need to know every rung of that ladder and which wall it's leaning against.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely very easy to get into flow on your own and then much harder to get into flow with, other humans. I don't like humaning sometimes. I'm a bit more introverted.
Yes. And how do you stay in flow?
It just depends in which context. So like in
True.
personal flow, I'm an activator as well. So it's all about movement for us.
Yes.
So doing all the things, going to the gym, doing some ninja, doing all the fun stuff that we love.
Keeps us flow state the whole way.
Yeah. And then, you know, getting out of taking it personally and how we relate to people in terms of creating flow with people.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, I'd love to know how do we actually start to create flow with people within a team moving towards like a vision as part of it? Because, you know, we've got personal flow, we've got flow with people, which I like to call social flow, and then societal flow. It's like, what is the movement that we're creating? We're actually having everyone move towards a collective vision. How do we step into a deeper sense of creating that for people?
I mean, I'll drop back to the Simon Sinek, start with why, because it's so important. If we don't have everybody on board with a shared vision of the why, and they will wean themselves out. So start at the base level. Is this something that you're passionate about? And I mean, you and I love epigenetics, and that's environment mixed with your genes. So there is always a collective of people that we should have on the team. It's not just 2 activators. We need to have a Diplo, a guardian. Go. We would both fly into the podcast over the chairs. We need to have a connector. We need to have all of the beautiful people on the team operating and knowing. And Julie earlier mentioned like DISC personality profiling. There's Myers-Briggs. We need to know how everyone operates, what motivates each individual, and then put them together in this like beautiful synergy that's going to help the team stay in flow. And it is like this. It starts really wide, and then it's almost like a tornado, and then you just don't even realize, but things start to domino effect really quickly. I always use the analogy or I always say the example that the second I think I'm going to give up, which, I mean, believe me, we've had, 2 weeks to get this thing organized for this event. So there's been a lot of, I'm going to give up. No, I'm not. I'm going to give up. No, I'm not. The second I'm going to give up is the second the breakthrough happens. So don't give up. Keep going, because when everybody gave up and you kept pushing, that's when you hit the $1 million mark. That's when your business starts to take off. And it does go back to your team and flow, and it starts really wide, very slow. And then it's just a really quick up source. Like business for everybody goes like this. What am I doing? Oh my God, get me out of here. And okay, I'm off. But we believe it's like this beautiful bend on business. And that is not the curve at all. It is long. It is a plateau. And the second that you think it can't get any worse, you're going to hit this upwards, beautiful momentum point. So for any entrepreneurs out there, keep going, don't give up. And, the second that you want to, remember this talk.
Yeah. How does someone build more of that momentum? So it's like the momentum of getting on the J curve or the tornado up. How does someone actually start to go through the process of, building that momentum? Because that's, most business owners, that's the one thing that they want to have happen faster.
Yeah.
It's like, just get me to the good bit rather than
totally.
the struggle and the growth that occurs in that foundational stage. How do we go through that momentum building stage and keep going?
Yeah, I love it. Firstly, and I think you've mentioned this a lot, and it comes back to like a really strong foundational morning routine. Because if you wake up going, oh shit, what have I done? It will continue for the rest of the day. So waking up and reminding yourself with some like beautiful priming breaths, get the oxygen going, and then go right into the 3 things that you want to accomplish that day. And I don't care how wild they seem. Make Ninja Warrior, finish Ninja Warrior track, and write them down, and then top that off with the Dr. Joe Dispenza method of 3 things you're grateful for, because that's going to bring in that beautiful energy, and scientifically proven when you wake up is the most open gate of your time right now in your lifetime. So right before you go to sleep, right when you wake up is when you are the most receptive of creating your own reality. So don't let it go to waste. And, if you need to, and you've got kids, do the like Robin Sharma 5 a.m. club, get up early. If you have to, make like this 5 or 10 minutes to yourself. That's going to keep your momentum going when nothing else is going to plan. I always start there. And then, I've mentioned it earlier, but you need to have a good foundation of people around you. Your environment is everything. If you've got people going, yeah, you should give up. Yeah, why did you get in this business in the first place? That's the opposite of forward momentum. Have people going, keep going. I've got your back. Your posts are growing. You've got this. And that will keep you going during the tough times. And how to get to that, where we're really going to see our curve go super high is when you start. So when you look really deep and realize that the number one thing that's holding you back from you having your dream life is the number one thing you've been avoiding the most. So what are you avoiding? Why are you not making that phone call? And why are you not sending out that list to your high school friends that are 50 close friends that really want to know what your new skincare business is, but you haven't done it because you're scared of what other people think, or you're scared of this, scared of that? Look at what you are personally holding yourself back from. And that's where you're going to see that J curve really go up, and it's all going to start happening. And that's where you're going to find the magic.
Yeah, I love that. How do we balance? It's like this. There's that one side of it of like following the plan and like doing it regardless, but then there's the other side of like honoring your body and the feedback that it's giving you. Where does that intersection occur to be able to create integration with that, rather than being about I'm just going to do everything that it takes to be able to get the result at the cost of my health? How do we integrate those two pieces? Yes,
love this question. Thank you for asking. It's my passion for leaders to have balance. And I'm sure you've had a lot of chats on this podcast about burnout, because it's almost like a badge of honor that people wear now. They're like, yes, I've hit burnout. I'm going to make it now. And it can happen that way. But you don't have to hit burnout. I'm here to say you don't have to hit burnout. You can look after yourself and be super successful and have like a beautiful family life, spiritual, all of your cups can be filled. So when we start to feel burnt out, when we start to feel in the state of tired, I can feel my body starting to turn, that physical feedback loop. And yes, I'm saying do it now. Yes, I'm saying don't give up. But I'm also saying get up in the morning, do your morning routine, see how you feel. The beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur is that we have access to control our time and what we're doing with our time. So you need to remember to go and do infrared sauna so that you can sit and have that longevity case where you're really looking at your wellness. Maybe you're trying a 30-second cold shower or getting in an ice bath after a tough day in the office. Look after yourself using the simple biohacks that are out there right now and ensure that we're not hitting burnout anymore. There's so many ways that you can even look after yourself in the middle of the office. Get some compression boots on. Have a meeting where you're doing a walk and talk and you're forest bathing. There's no reason for you to be consistently on the phone in your office all day when you could be. Most of the people I spoke to this morning were out walking their dogs whilst doing business deals. So how can we integrate these like little biohacks in our life that we know are really good for us, where we're using movement as medicine? It's not, we're both gym goers. We don't need to go to the gym. We just need to move more. We just need to eat, a little bit healthier, get rid of the fast foods. You don't need to eat out in order to be successful. And you can meal prep, or if you're already somewhat successful, get a chef or somebody that's prepping meals based on your phenotype for the food that are really good for you. Ensure that you take care of yourself with those little moments, micro moments in the day, so that those little moments add up. Google now has implemented that their staff take every 40 minutes a break. It's almost like a pedometer that they're going, all right, 40 minutes, we stand up. That's been shown that if we do 10 squats or move around the office every hour on the hour, it's 60% more effective than doing a 60-minute walk at the end of the day, because we've kept our metabolism up. I mean, I'm in corporate wellness, so this is like my bailiwick, my bread and butter. Why don't we implement that in the office? It's going to help people stay focused. All we want as leaders is our team to stay focused and motivated. But yet we put them under pressure for 8 hours a day, where we give them a small little lunch break and then we call it a smoko. Why are we calling it a smoko still? We're 2025. It's a Wello. Take a Wello, go and relax, do a walk around the block. Like, use vocabulary as your weapon. Get your team moving and make sure that they have time to actually eat healthy. Those and hydrate, set little reminders that they have water breaks on their screen and it says, Johnny, take a drink now, because we get so caught up in the day that we don't stay hydrated.
What can we do to start those little basic habits starting to create that compounding effect in our health?
The number one thing, and I love James Clear, I love Atomic Habits, so thank you for raising this question, is your environment. So the easiest thing to change right now is your environment. Where are you putting your shoes? Are your running shoes right next to the door so that as soon as you get home, you're going for a walk? That book that you've been putting off and you haven't read for over 2 years, is it on your pillow when you get home? It's just one more step to avoid that book because it's on your pillow. So now you have to shove it off the bed. Eventually you're going to go, fine, I'll do 1 minute of it. So your environment, you might go, Meg, I can't change my environment. There's, McDonald's everywhere. The vending machine is poor, which I have a really tough time changing vending machines in my corporate wellness because the crappy, shitty food still sells more. So all good, no problem. We can't change your vending machine. We can't change your environment. Do something that you've been putting off doing for 1 minute a day. So start these micro habits and just do it for 1 minute, because science shows if you do it for 1 minute, you're most likely going to do it for 10 minutes. And then you might do it for 20 minutes. So that's the first one. And then if that doesn't work, we do what's called habit compounding, where we take one habit and we put the other habit stacking right over top. So for females, I have them doing lymphatic brushing, for example. So you brush your teeth in the morning, you put your toothbrush down, you grab your lymphatic brushing gloves. You just do 2 minutes of lymphatic brushing, which helps decrease the risk of breast cancer by 30%, and go out for the day. So habit stacking is the other one. So to recap, environment, if you can, 1 minute a day, and habit stack as much as you can.
What kind of resistance do you face from people in corporate from that, other than we can't change the vending machine?
It comes along with, we don't want to spend money on our staff's health and wellness. So we can't change the vending machine. We can't implement having a 20-minute break because it's going to cost us too much money. We're in this beautiful era right now where in Australia last June, they implemented a psychosocial hazards law where now you can sue your employer based on mental health. So if you're an employer, you should know about this. If you don't, make sure you check it out, because it means that if there's bullying, if there's not set amount of breaks, there's no implementation of wellness in your workplace, technically a staff member can sue you for that. And there's 7 different areas that it falls under, and it's really broad. So we're 2025. By 2027, in 2 years, even less, I think, psychosocial hazards, I'm not selling myself as a physio right now, by the way, are going to overtake physical hazards in the workplace when it comes to lawsuits and the amount of money that is spent. So we know that corporates are going to have to start looking after this. It's not going to become an option. It's going to become mandatory. If you're not doing this, you're going to be left behind. There's been a myriad of lawsuits already out there from really, really big companies, and they're ongoing. There's no, once I've fixed your knee as a physio, you can go back to work. Who's to say how long your mental health can last? Who puts a limit on, okay, the bullying and the effects of that bullying have now subsided, he can go back to work. It really comes down to the client and or staff member. So you could be opening this huge kettle of fish that you didn't even know you're opening. So I see this being a motivator for corporate to start implementing all of the aspects that I love as a corporate wellness coach. However, what's still deterring them, or the reason that they haven't done it, is because they're looking at the bottom line, thinking that this doesn't affect absenteeism. It doesn't affect how great somebody focuses on a long term. So productivity, those two factors alone are the game changer. You give me somebody where we look at absenteeism and productivity, and I start using movement as medicine, having alkalizing water and just some nutritious food and a nice positive environment, smiles are free. All of a sudden, the whole office starts to shift. Productivity starts to go up as absenteeism starts to go down, and it's an easy sell. But still, the bottom line is what they're looking at and why they haven't made change.
How do you shift a company or a culture from being in that level of reactivity to proactivity then?
Make a lawsuit about it. That's the first one. Thank you, Australian government. No, but in all actuality, I think it would be that it needs to start from the top down. So a lot of the time, the culture starts to shift when the leader hits burnout and they start to see that that's happening for their middle management as well, and lower tiers. And all of a sudden, everything in the company starts to shift. So if everything's going great at the top, it's very rare for us to see that effect all the way down to the lower tier management. But if something happens where it's just like what we know as personal trainers, if the doctor says you have to, if something tragic happens to your health, that's when you're awake. Because if you could have a million different problems right now, but the second there's a problem with your health, those problems are obsolete. They don't matter to you anymore. The only thing that matters is your health. So if you don't have your health intact, then you've got no other problems. That's the only thing you have to deal with. And if we get the leaders on board, we know that we can get middle management and everyone else on board.
What do you think is the gap? What do you think is the gap between individuals then actually implementing that in corporate? Because, sometimes when you go into corporate, like, it changes on a higher level, but everyone from the bottom kind of resists. How do you create that integrative approach from bottom up and top down?
Yeah, I love that question. We're all about the motto, leave no man behind. So it's really important to us that everyone on the team has a say. And that's where it starts. You can't just listen to what the leaders want. We want to listen to what every person on the ground needs and wants, and show that they are being heard. The second that they know they're being heard, and the second, of course, the CEOs, they're always heard. So the second that we get every level being heard, that's when we start to see the shift, and they go, actually, I'm on board with this. They've taken on what I've said, and I'm down here, and they've implemented at the top level. The more I say, the more I can do. If you don't let your team be heard, and it's the first step in our approach to any wellness program, is we're doing a survey. We're going to see what everyone on the team has to say and where your biggest gaps are right now. And it usually isn't at the top, it's at the bottom.
Cool.
Great question.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's the perfect thing to wrap up on. This has been fun.
Great.
What's the best way for people to find you?
I love all social media channels, whatever you are playing in. Meghan Jarvis, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And right now I'm very active because we have 2 weeks to go to a major event. So if you drop me a message, we are right on it. We would love to see you there. And thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome. And yeah, I really appreciate being on the show today and love what you're doing with the podcast. I know that it is making more courageous leaders. Just realized I used courage as what I said was the number one downfall. And that's what you're doing. So keep going. Absolutely love what you're doing, Cody.
Epic. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.